Wicked Twister, Dragon Fire, Dueling Dragons, and Volcano the Blast Coaster. 4 coasters that were sadly removed instead of retracked. And here are 10 other coasters that we have to start worrying about because will the park decide to remove the coaster altogether or simply retrack it, because these are all popular coasters, including one bonus coaster prediction that is going to shock you coming up later in the video. What is going on? It's Theme Park Brandon, and this coaster list is really hard to compile because I personally love 9 out of the 10 coasters on this list, and I don't want to see any of them get removed, and I think a lot of them possibly could be. Starting off the list, we headed Great America in Chicago for Whizzer. Now, if you don't know, way before Superman Ultimate Flight opened up, there's rumors about this ride actually being located as Superman in the plot of Whizzer, but back then, fans of the ride signed a petition, and they had tons of people sign it saying, do not remove Whizzer, and the park decided to remove the 7 inversion Aero Mega Looper Shockwave instead. Little backstory there. But I just don't know how long Whizzer will be running at Six Flags Great America since the ride opened up in 1976. It is a great Schwarzkopf family coaster, the only one like it left here in the States. I honestly think the days are numbered. Obviously, the park is going to have to come up with a decision whether to retrack it somehow or to replace the ride altogether. And when you see the plot of land, as you can see right here, it's right in the center of Great America. There's a lot of new attractions that could go in this plot of land, especially for a park that is searching for some new areas to build new capital in. I'm going to predict they're going to remove it. I do not see Great America and the current Six Flags spending the money to retrack it. Now, obviously, with all these predictions, this could be 3 years away, 5, 10 years away. I'm just generalizing the 10 coasters as of right now that I think we need to keep our eye on. Heading down to over Texas for Shockwave. Again, a Schwarzkopf coaster. This one's a double loop. Awesome, insane coaster. I love it. It opened up in 1978. I just don't know if the park would want to retrack it only because of how much space this ride takes up. It runs right along the highway here. In my opinion, if I was in charge of Six Flags Over Texas, I would look to remove the ride once the end of life cycle hits for it. And then I would build a crazy looking new ride right along the highway. It's basically a free billboard, if you will. People driving down the interstate, they would notice a brand new ride. Hey, we got to go back to Six Flags because they just built a brand new coaster, obviously. I love Shockwave. This is not me saying I hate these rides. Trust me, that's far from the truth. I think we have to look at a little bit of realization of, what makes the most sense for the parks and these rides going forward. Heading over to the East Coast for Morey's Piers. And this ride here is the Great Nor'easter, a fantastic Vekoma SLC. Now, I know they did some work on this ride quite a while back, new trains. It's actually pretty smooth now. This ride, obviously, to get in there to retrack it would be a pain in the butt project due to how close a proximity all the other water slides and other rides are with this ride. Though on the other hand, there really isn't any way you can fit a new coaster with a different layout in this plot of land due to how creative Morey's Piers was in terms of fitting this ride and the water slides around it all into this plot of land on the pier. With that being said, Morey's Piers opened this ride in 1995. Great views of the ocean, great views of the beach. I personally think this ride is going to get retracked over being replaced, and I'm cool with that. I think it's a really smart move for Morey's Piers. Now grab your tissues. This might make some people upset. If you're upset about Dragonfire getting removed, I think you might be upset about this one as well. Gemini Cedar Point. Another classic aero coaster, maybe biting the dust. I mean, after all, this plot of land is huge, and that's really what this is about, whether it makes sense for parks to repurpose the land these rides sit on to something new, or just if it makes the return on investment to spend the money on retracking the ride. But let's be honest, Gemini does not open every day. Cedar Point's open. When it does not run both sides every day either, when it is in operation. And when you mix that in with the coaster opening up in 1978, in the harsh winters out of Sandusky, Ohio, the ride honestly is going to be closing in the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years max. But does Cedar Point decide to retract or replace it? Well, again, this big plot of land, I'm going to go with replace altogether. I love Gemini, and I might catch some heat for saying this, but I think this Midway would look a lot better with a new coaster opposed to this giant piece of, the giant wood structure that runs along the Gemini Midway. There's a lot of cool things Cedar Point could do with this plot of land, and I think definitely this ride would get replaced over retract. Heading over to Silver Dollar City, which is my favorite theme park in the entire country. I absolutely love this place for Thunderation. Another Aero Mine Train coaster, but this one opened up in 1993. But there's rumors out there that this ride is already on the chopping block. Could they be replacing the ride altogether or retracking it? Well, this ride is so unique how it starts off in the station. There's no lift hill until the very end of the ride due to the strenuous terrain that the ride sits on. Honestly, it'd probably just be easier to clear out the area, which means we would sadly see some removal of some of the trees for construction equipment to get in there to remove the ride or to even retract the ride. Therefore, I think the ride would get scrapped altogether, and this area could be where we're looking at Silver Dollar City's next major coaster, but hopefully we have a couple more years because Thunderation's great. Speaking of retired coasters, over on my website, themeparkbrandon.com, I have a whole section dedicated to some of your favorite retired coasters. So check out my shirts and hoodies of some of your favorite retired attractions, as well as posters and other great coaster gear. Again, on themeparkbrandon.com. Appreciate the support. Now, this one, I sentimental to this ride, the Bat at Kings Island. It's one of 5 aero suspended coasters out there. And we could say that Ninja, Magic Mountain, even Vortex at Canada's Wonderland, and Iron Dragon at Cedar Point could all be on this list. But this is the only suspended coaster I have on this list as of now. It opened up in 1993. This ride is awesome. The layout's fantastic. It's still so much fun. Night rides are great. Back row, front row, both are fantastic. But would Six Flags opt to spend the money on retracting the ride or replacing the ride? That's the big question. And due to aerodynamics not being in business anymore, and this ride where it takes up a huge plot of land, there's so many things that Kings Island could do with this side of the park. It's not even funny, honestly. There's so many cool things. I think they could retract it with the Kumba's help, obviously, but I do not see that happening, unfortunately. I think when the time does come, the Bat would get replaced over retract. Jaguar, Knott's Berry Farm. This is a great family coaster that features, I think, 2 lift hills. It's just a lot of fun. It's always a must ride when you go to Knott's Berry Farm. But this ride did open up in 1995, and it is getting up there in age. And with Knott's Berry Farm not having a ton of room to expand, they're going to have to start looking at old coasters or old rides to remove and replace with newer stuff. And I think this is the prime candidate for Knott's Berry Farm when it comes to getting removed and replaced with something else. I do not see Jaguar getting retracked. I do think it would get removed altogether, but hopefully they replace it with like a Vekoma family multi-launch or something else really cool in that area. Now it's time to get to the 3 biggest coasters on this list. And the first one would be Magnum XL-200 at Cedar Point. The ride, we all know the story. Opened up in 1989. Some people hate it, some people love it. It's fantastic. I personally love it. Would Cedar Point decide to retract it or remove it? Well, due to the history of it being the world's first hypercoaster with a traditional lift hill, and how awesome this ride is in the park's lineup, and how so many people still love Magnum, and Cedar Point being the roller coaster mecca, I think they would obviously go ahead and retract this coaster opposed to replace it. I just think it makes a lot of sense, whether that's Vekoma or Premier Rides or someone else that coming in and doing it. That's great. I mean, heck, what about this? What if they retract it with RMC? I mean, it obviously has the same support structure, sort of, as a lot of the RMC hybrid coasters have. You know, who knows? Crazier things have happened. But I hope they would keep Magnum the way it is as much as they could, honestly. Because I think that would be great for the people who just love and value Magnum and have been riding it for years and years and years. And please keep the 3 tunnels. Now here's a wild idea. We could see Cedar Point decide to build a B&M Giga Coaster running out this way using the same footprint as Magnum XL-200. Crazy idea. Give this video a like if you want me to create a cool concept for that for an upcoming video. So I definitely see Magnum XL-200 getting retracked over replaced. Kumba, Busch Gardens, Tampa. B&M's first major sit-down coaster, 7 loops, opened up in 1993. The last couple years, Kumba has been swirled around this rumor mill of would it get removed? Is it going to get retracked? What's going to happen? As of right now, it opened back up, and as of right now, it's still in the parks lineup. How much longer? Who knows? But the thing about the Florida parks is these rides run continuously 11 months, if not more, out of the year. So their wear and tear is much greater than the parks, the more regional parks. Now, on the other side of that, Florida just has mainly heat and rain. Doesn't have the ice, doesn't have the snow. So maybe that will play into it for some parks north of, where it gets snowy and cold at, opposed to the southern parks. Who knows? But for Busch Gardens Tampa, and knowing the placement of Kumba in this park, it doesn't get a line anymore hardly. It's not that popular. So would they really want to spend the millions of dollars on retracking it over bulldozing it and then rebuilding something bigger, better, or whatever in its place? I think, sadly, I love Kumba. I don't want anything to happen to it. But I think when the time does come, they will look at replacing it opposed to retracking it. Again, unfortunately. Now, before I get to my bonus prediction that you're not going to want to miss, it's time to talk about Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Aerodynamics, crazy 7 inversion coaster that opened up in 1990. You gotta love Viper from the colors, the layout, that crazy tall first vertical loop. Even the drop's good on Viper. The sad thing is, over the years, it just beats you up like that. Like, it's not fun. And this plot of land can be used for a lot of cool things going forward. In fact, I created a really cool coaster concept, as you see on your screen right here, in a whole video about just how this is the location that Six Flags Magic Mountain could easily build a brand new mock rides, either hyper or giga coaster in this plot of land. Check it out. But as far as Viper goes, would they remove it or retract it? Well, there's so many coasters at Magic Mountain. You already have Scream there as well, a more modern 7 inversion coaster. I just think Viper's days are numbered. This plot of land would be better off being repurposed for something else going forward. I do think that Six Flags would decide to remove it altogether, opposed to retracting it. And right next to Viper's X2. What if we have to start questioning the future of this ride? But this is Aerodynamics' last coaster, and it's just absolutely insane, the mechanical aspect of this ride and the engineering feat that this ride took on, because X2 opened up in 2002. So it is pretty dated. And again, this could be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 2 years from now, who knows? Would Magic Mountain decide to retrack it or replace it? Just imagine if they would tear down both at the same time, and then you have this giant area right here for a mega coaster, a mega project. I mean, that'd be really cool. Not saying I want X2 to get removed, but I think that they would look at S&S coming in and replacing the tracks. Because if you look at how good Enjinaika is over in Japan and how smooth and enjoyable that ride is, if they could somehow reuse the supports but get all new track and new trains for this ride, it would basically be an entire brand new coaster. I mean, and I think that's what Magic Mountain would do, and most importantly should do, going forward if and when X2 is on the chopping block. And who knows, maybe it is right now for all we know. Now check out the showcase video at the bottom of your screen where I showcase the top 25 must-ride coasters that you're going to find at a Six Flags theme park. This is Theme Park Brandon. Let me know your thoughts and predictions regarding the coasters that I mentioned in this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.